This place doesn't look like much, does it? I didn't believe this was Randall's old joint until I checked inside. Shame that it's been left abandoned. That painting is something to see. I figured it was a matter of time before you showed. Rumors spread like the clap in the Mojave. At any rate, you're here in all your glory. The Courier. Do you get tired of that title? It's not very imposing, you know? Maybe that's the beauty of it. Nobody expects to be downed by a messenger. Hey, here's your letter. Oh, and you're dead. Do you pronounce it courier or courier? Probably doesn't matter. Tomato, tomato. It's a matter of what I need, actually. My job is to relay a message from my supervisor, a fellow by the name of Marko. See, he's rather upset over his brother's death, and he wants to settle with you, in Utah. It's a very long trip. Luckily, I know the way. You are tightly wound, you know that? Just relax, hero. You'll get there soon enough. First, you're gonna help me with some business here. There are a few contacts here in the Mojave that I need to sort out on behalf of Marko's business interests. Funny thing is that there's some overlap with your past work. I managed to look through some of Randall's old records in the shack. To his credit, the man kept very meticulous records. He must have been quite the typist. Anyway, if you want to reach Utah, first you'll help me solve problems. Sort of like bounty hunting. Oh, and don't worry, you won't have to kill any women or children. Nothing that might compromise your code. These pretty much have it coming. The sort involving scumbags who haven't kicked up to their betters and are a touch defiant. That kind of hubris tends to draw bad karma. That depends. Everybody likes choices in life, so let me varnish my offer so there's an illusion of freedom. You can swallow your pride and help me, which will doubtlessly provide opportunities for enrichment, conversation, and all manner of excitement. Or you can forgo my offer and fecklessly wander the wastes, wondering how you let a chance at Marko slip through your fingers. I'm sure some people would consider them equally valid choices. What a team we'll be. I can't wait! Gotta make a little stop before we meet the first guy. Here's the spot on your map. See you there. Ah, you made it. The fiends really know how to make a neighborhood their own, don't they? Speaking of fiends, you remember Eileen, right? Slightly unbalanced gal who liked to sever men's genitalia? Yeah, hard to forget. Way back when you knocked her off, NCR started telling people that it was finally safe to start moving in around here, due to law and order. Well, as you probably know, the fiends were a bit more resilient than they had expected. Oh, and it turns out Eileen wasn't even the worst one. Actually, she kept some of the more savage elements in line with the threat of emasculation. What a word, emasculation. Shout it to the heavens. After you disposed of Eileen, a nice gentleman named Troy took over her crew. He was no power player, but he certainly left his mark. You see, Troy was a chronic rapist, even worse than old Cook. Not long after the Owen family moved in here, Troy paid him a visit. Let's go inside and see his handiwork, shall we? You know, if I knew that I caused this, even in a crazy roundabout sort of way, that would just eat me up inside. Sort of awkward now. In some circles, that would be called ducking responsibility. Troy was nothing before you killed Eileen. On top of the money, I completely understand killing Eileen, given the habitual severing of penises. In my book, that's right up there with murder. But don't doubt for a second that you set this in motion. You can't kill and walk away no matter what side of the law you think you're on. Nonetheless, we can sit here arguing about rapists and dick cutters, or we can go kill fiends. Never gets old, does it? I'll see you at Troy's. I just love a quick jaunt through the ruins of a dead city. Makes me feel privileged to be alive. Maybe that's just me. I suppose we should make our way to Troy now, seeing as to how you're a famous, cold-blooded, God-fearing and bounty hunter. I'll follow your lead. One thing, though. Please don't cut off random fingers in the hopes of collecting a reward. After you. What is it? I suppose in a strange way he's not much different from you, courier. He was forged in violence, reborn a survivor. He's not exceptional in any physical sense, nor is he the most intelligent man I've met. I suppose it's his will that sets him apart. There have been times when most men would have succumbed to defeat or even death, yet Marko won in the end. He told me about the time he was captured by raiders back east. They ate Marko's comrades and forced him into servitude. He went along with it, ingratiating himself with the leader and even proving himself as a capable cook. The raiders grew to trust him. He was eventually offered the chance to join their ranks, on the condition that he prove his ability to kill without hesitation. While he had certainly killed before, this was different. He was ordered to slaughter the family of a random farmer, a fellow by the name of Randall. Given your history with Randall, I have no doubt he's told you what transpired. Marko killed them all in front of Randall in gruesome fashion. The slavers' leader was so impressed that he made Marko his right-hand man. Marko soon exceeded all expectations as a raider. It seemed as if Marko had assimilated into this new lifestyle with no regrets or grudges, for a time. Then, they ran into a rival group of raiders. On the eve of their battle, Marko sedated the leader and carried him to the rival encampment. With a rapt, surprised audience in full view, Marko blinded, castrated, and paralyzed his leader, then announced his intentions. He declared himself leader of the rival tribe and would face anyone who thought himself more worthy. None challenged him. With his intimate familiarity with his original clan's tactics, Marko led his men to an easy victory. The fate of the captured raiders was grim. Most were blinded, emasculated, and crippled, much like the leader. Additionally, they were disemboweled. For days, Marko allowed his dogs to feed on the entrails of the dying men, taking care to ensure their survival long enough to extend the agony. They all died eventually, except the leader. He had a much worse fate. They say Marko carted him about for years, caged like an animal. He was a living reminder that crossing Marko could bring a fate far worse than death. No one ever questioned him. Marko always said, man is the measure of all things. In this world, you make your own law for yourself and those closest to you. Talking about right and wrong is delusional and self-indulgent. If you had traveled and seen what I have, you'd appreciate the truth in this. Seen towns where they ate people but wouldn't let the women out in public for fear of immorality. Other places they killed kids for stealing food. Deep down, everybody has an idea about what's right. Sleeping with another man's wife? It's okay, she's unhappy. How about robbery? Oh, they're rich. Marko taught me to look within, trust my own instincts, and most importantly, to do what it takes to stay alive. He always looked after his people. So to answer your question, I don't feel guilty. There ain't no heaven or hell, just this rock. And I'll get mine while I'm here. I want to know what a feet-sniveling worm coined the term bad guy. Probably some spineless wretch who relied on stronger men for his safety. You know what bad means to me? It means you're strong, you endure when others listen to that pussified voice inside, lay down and die. I don't know about your world with all its nations and laws, but in my world, good is raw flesh that's stripped and eaten by the hungry. What would you do without a few bad men around? No job for starters. You're only as good as the man across from you. It's what builds you. You've smoked a few lowlifes and now you're supposed to be special? You're just another meatbag with an expiration date. The hubris of it, to call me bad. There will come a time when you'll wish you had more bad in you, because good lets you down in the end. Why wouldn't it be about Sergio? Even bad men love their brothers. You might say their mutual interests made them closer. You're not completely off base, though. Before Sergio was killed, Marko had already heard some of the stories coming out of the Mojave. People talked about some courier who was all but unstoppable, a veritable force of nature by all accounts. That didn't sit well with Marko. I guess on some level he wants to prove that you're no better than the rest of us mere mortals. Or at least not better than him. You've been riding high since you ducked the Reaper. Maybe too high. If you aren't careful, you'll get a nasty lesson in mortality soon enough. Do you always imagine elaborate, contrived showdowns with your antagonists? I'm afraid Marko's a touch more pragmatic in his outlook. Don't worry, he'll fight you on his own terms when the time's right. First, I have to see to his interests while he stabilizes things in Utah. He told me that Sergio came here, squared off with you in some mountain town. Didn't work out well for him, did it? Do you want Marko that badly? You have to know that it's risky going up to Utah. To your credit, you are adaptable. Some things can't be accounted for, though. When you taste Marko's vengeance, it will cut you off at the knees. You ever seen a cripple win a wrestling match? I mean, I've seen some midgets put up a mean fight with arm bars and whatnot, but never a gimp. What is it? I had a non-traditional upbringing, with the requisite amount of violence for wasteland standards. Marko found me when I was a young man. I was just a thug when we met. He saw something in me, something I didn't know about myself. He just has that ability. It's uncanny. He pushed me to become more proficient at violence, but also instilled the urge to educate myself. It's amazing what learned slaves can teach you. I have no doubt I would have perished in some scrape back east if I hadn't met Marko. I would have been another anonymous, forgotten raider. Some gang members came and went, like Red Bear. They feared Marko, so their presence was usually ephemeral. There was always a core, though. We stay loyal to Marko because he wins every time, against all odds. There's profit, but also brotherhood. Is it the same with your group? Respect? All the time, even when someone is drunk or careless? I wonder how you tolerate their flaws, and vice versa. It was given to me when I came of age, so very long ago. Though it's unsightly and cumbersome, there's no questioning its value. The targeting alone has saved my skin more than a few times. Of all the paths I've walked, all the trials I've endured, it's been constant. Yes, this Pip-Boy is better than a loyal hound. Certainly superior to a wife. God, it's not even close. Do you find that remarkable? Most people have rather strong assumptions about vault dwellers. We're all naive, agoraphobic shut-ins, right? Some of them never adapt to the outside, but me. I never liked being trapped. As a boy, I constantly dreamed of life beyond the vault. I escaped through literature and comic books. Never cared for school itself. My father punished me, even destroyed my books. I didn't care. I could paint grand vistas in my mind, climbing to the highest peaks while taking in real sunlight, breathing unfiltered air. My father hated his lot in the vault, working maintenance. He hated even more that I was content to spend my time withdrawn from his world. He drank a lot, beat me and my brother when things boiled over. Overseer was a real traditional type, didn't want to interfere, so nothing changed. Dad had plans for me. Maintenance and repair in the vault, an auspicious occupation. I probably would have killed myself if I'd stayed in that vault. When I was 13, the water chip gave out, so we had to make contact with the outside. I wanted to leave with the scouting expedition. Dad said no. I planned on sneaking out with my kid brother. Couldn't leave him with Dad. I got caught, and the old man pummeled me unconscious. I ended up in the infirmary. Dad wound up in his cell. Didn't last, though. Overseer released him the next day. He had critical skills. You see, I found that life is a series of epiphanies. Some are minute, others hit you like a freight train. I had a big one in the infirmary. I realized that the rules would always work against me in my dreams. Somebody with money or power pulls the strings, snuffs them out. It was that realization that finally pushed me over the edge, or made my balls drop. One night I picked up Dad's bat and bashed his kneecaps. He cried like a little girl, apologized and confessed till he was hoarse. My stepmom stayed out of it. She was a timid soul. I told them that me and my brother were leaving, and that they shouldn't bother trying to find us. Dad just sobbed and nodded. There was a skeleton crew guarding the entrance, so we slipped out before they found Dad. Don't know what became of him. Knowing what I know now, I only wish I'd finished that bastard off. He was a waste of life. We left at night, but it was still disconcerting at first, seeing the sky above you, like an ocean bearing down on you. You feel so small. We adjusted soon enough, just kept walking east. It was so stupid in hindsight. A couple of kids with a baseball bat, nothing more. You see, back east there aren't all these nations like you have here. It's just towns and tribes with no real order. We had no idea. I wish I could tell you we found a town and everything worked out. Not the case. We were picked up by slavers led by a man named Dickie. Dickie ran a roaming band who would lease out slaves to towns or raiding crews. To his credit, he was a sharp trader. I thought I had taken some harsh beatings, but the slavers made Dad seem like some grandma with an old switch. They were merciless. It only bothered me when they hit my brother, though. He was no more than 8 at the time, so they planned on making him a sex slave. I despised Dickie not because of his cruelty, but because he was always smiling, whistling, making cracks. Dad may have been an abusive cretin, but at least he imparted some mechanical know-how. That's how I got the slave collars off. We ran until our blood burned and our bare feet bled, then ran some more. Dickie was tracking us with dogs. It was closed when I spotted the town. In that moment I knew we wouldn't make it. Dickie and his crew were too fast, so I sent my brother off towards the town while I backtracked. He made it. I didn't. If I'd known what awaited me, the sheer hell of it, I might have killed myself before they took me.
Who the fuck are you? What the fuck are you doing here?
Troy. You have been a busy little boy, haven't you? All that robbing and raping going on, yet you can't seem to return messages.
What? Who the fuck? I'm about to light your ass up, cocksucker. You know who I am? I'm gonna smoke you, then fuck you right up the ass.
No, you won't, Troy. Do you know who I work for? A gentleman by the name of Marko. He's very unhappy that you ignored his messages. Not good, Troy.
Marko? He sent you? Oh, fuck. I didn't mean to ignore him. Shit just got fucked up. I was busy and...
Shh, Troy, calm yourself. No point in making a scene. Keep your dignity intact. You could have avoided this with timely correspondence.
Oh, God. He sent you to kill me, didn't he? Please, don't. I'll give you money, girls, anything.
Why does everyone just assume I would want a woman? I do prefer them, but you never know. Doesn't matter. Troy, this is a matter of balance.
I can't go like this, Mama!
Now, would you look at that? Troy, you went and pissed yourself. Would you relax? I'm not going to kill you.
Really? Oh, thank you. I'll do whatever you want. Just tell Marko. I'll do it.
No, I won't kill you, Troy. This bounty hunter will.
Oh, shit, Mama!
Bravo. When Marko told me to bring you, I told him, well, I thought that it was crazy. But you know what? He was right. You're a real killer. Next stop, Freeside. We get to take in the splendor of Vegas's grand cesspool. I'll see you there. Urine, feces, vomit. That's the intoxicating aroma of Freeside. It's like smelling hopelessness. If you're wondering, this fine establishment is known as Carl's Candy, with a K. Unfortunately, they do not offer confectionaries. No, Carl's is just one of many brothels in Freeside, but it should interest you for at least one reason. No, not that one. That comely young lady soliciting her services on the corner is known as Jill. Apparently, she's the daughter of the late Charlie Halfcock. See, Charlie's mercenary work provided for his daughter after his wife left him. With a name like Halfcock, you can imagine why she left. Single father with half a penis and a powerful rifle. What a story. But then, he met you. His kid, orphaned. Though only at the tender age of 16, Jill took it upon herself to make her way in the Mojave. With few marketable skills, Jill was soon forced to rely on her most valuable asset, her body. Carl quickly scooped her up and made her his own. But it doesn't end there, friend. Carl doesn't just pimp out girls. He makes them utterly dependent through chem abuse. Pretty soon Jill was strung out on jet and completely broke. She became de facto property of Carl. Coincidentally, I have to deliver some news to Carl so we can kill two perverts with one stone. You better lead the way, though. My rugged looks are simply magnetic to females, and I don't want to be swarmed by hussies. What is it? What didn't Dickie do? 5 years. 5 years of hell. That's what I got for leaving the vault and saving my brother. It was work, beatings, work, and then more beatings. All the while there was Dickie's laughter. All the while I thought of my brother. I was near a man when Dickie got the idea of matching me up in the cage. That was a big draw, fighting slaves to the death. I knew it was my chance.
Shut the fuck up, bitch! You want another smack? Do you? When Carl says to suck his dick, you better motherfucking suck. Do you mind? I am trying to work here. If you're looking for some tail, check downstairs.
Ah, Carl, tell me, does it make you feel strong when you smack around starving hookers? This is a real man right here.
Ooh, excuse me? You go walk into my place and lay down attitude? Motherfucker, I will crack your skull open and shit in it.
As much as I want to be moved by that arresting imagery, I need to get to the point, Carl. Do you remember the arrangement you had with Marko?
Marko? Are you serious? That motherfucker ain't even real. So I took some guy's money and said I'd kick it up to Marko. What of it? It was a scam.
No scam, Carl. You knowingly stole from one of Marko's associates, then went on to denounce the whole affair in public. Bad judgment, my boy.
You can't be serious. I was just joking with some boys in Freeside. Everyone knows Marko isn't real. Right? Oh, fuck, man. Oh, fuck. Holy shit, man.
No joke, Carl.
Wait, hold up.
Or maybe not. It's really up to the discretion of my associate.
This is home!
And that's how it's done, partner. You showed patience, but didn't hesitate when it was time to act. Well done. Just one more stop and then we can begin the great trek. There's a little homestead I want you to see first, though. Here's the spot on your map. This fine residence is the home of Dana Quigley, widow of the late Tom Quigley. You remember him, right? Though an inveterate womanizer and a madman, Ranger Quigley still sent proceeds from his caravan robberies to his family. When his mischief caught up with him, Mrs. Quigley found herself destitute and struggled to provide for 3 children. On the verge of starvation and homelessness, Mrs. Quigley soon received an offer from a businessman. In exchange for a hefty sum, he would seize Mrs. Quigley's daughter and sell her to Kaiser's Legion. She accepted the offer. While the initial windfall tided them over for a spell, the Quigley residence has fallen on hard times once again. Crop failures and whatnot. Already maddened with regret over her daughter's fate, now Mrs. Quigley must decide how to proceed. Sell the farm? Prostitute herself? Sell a child? The dilemmas of the wasteland. Why don't we pay her a visit? You should have plenty to talk about. Have I struck a nerve? I knew you were angry, but wow. Look at that vein just throbbing. I'm gonna guess you have high blood pressure. Let's go help this old bag, whether she likes it or not. What is it? I was strong enough from all the work, but I didn't know anything about real fighting. Dickie wanted to use me as bait for his stud fighter, Jay. Guy had at least 30 pounds on me, had won a dozen matches. I saw him as an obstacle to my freedom, something between me and my brother. It was one of the many lessons in the power of resolve. That man should have killed me, but I wanted it more, plain and simple. He broke one arm and half my ribs, but I ended it when I gouged his eyes and then drove my heel through his skull like it was a piece of old fruit. Dickie wasn't laughing then. I was hurt, but seeing his face was worth every break and bruise that I'd suffered. It was the first time I killed. I'm not sure what Dickie had planned for me because another man bought me on the spot. Guy named Thompson. He was all right. Thompson made me an offer. Win enough matches and I'll set you free. Win a lot of matches and you can join the crew. So I did. So I fought and I won. Every type of man, big, small, slow, fast. I found a way to kill them. It always boiled down to willpower, nothing else. Thompson was an old fellow, gruff but fair. He pushed me hard, but it paid off. He never beat me, not that I gave him reason. I respected him. He recognized the fire burning in me, knew how to harness it without smothering me. Wasn't long before I was working alongside him. After Thompson died, I was in charge. Wasn't long after that I met Marko, and the rest is history.
What are you...
Wow. You actually surprised me that time. I am impressed. You have a cold, cold heart, my friend. There's more to you than I realized. I'd ask if you feel responsible, but I know you don't care. She might as well be a pesky bug or some other insignificant creature. I don't like to issue predictions, but Marko might just have a use for you. Strange partnership it would be. But who's to say it wouldn't work? We've got a date with some fancy legionary near Cottonwood Cove. See you there. This nice little cavern is the temporary home of one Marcus Scribonius Libodrusus, an important man given his responsibility, slaves. Unbeknownst to his comrades, Drusus has been engaged with unsavory elements that happen to be in the employ of Marko. Lining your pockets is a capital offense in Kaiser's Legion, along with everything else. But corruption makes it more capital? Recently, Drusus has had second thoughts about his past exchanges. So it's high time he's reminded of his obligations.
Who dares intrude in my quarters? Name yourselves.
Not a polite reception, I must say. Is the hammer necessary? I think you're making my friend nervous.
By Mars, if you don't identify yourself, I'll bludgeon you and that other renegade into a bloody pulp.
I go by Virgil, but that's not really germane to the discussion. See, Drusus, I answer to a certain Marko. You might have heard of him.
You listen, profligate. I am done dealing with Marko or his lackeys. I do not answer to lawless scum.
Scum. That's harsh, Drusus. Harsh. You might not deign to speak with us now, but I seem to recall you happy to accept our captives a few months ago.
I can't. The speculators are investigating. If they know I dealt with you, I'll be scourged and crucified like a low criminal.
But you are a criminal. You should have embraced it. Believe me, life is so much simpler and fulfilling. Better than all this stilted soldiering.
I will never...
Requiescat in pace, Drusus. He couldn't accept the change rendered by his choices. Now, where have I heard that before? If you're poised to lose some witty retort or just good old-fashioned vitriol, save it for just a touch longer. My business here is settled, so I must depart for Frosto. If you wish to join me, go to the Northern Passage and we'll make final preparations. Oh, and please leave any accompanying rabble here in the Mojave. Marko instructed me to bring you and no one else. See you there. Yes? Only 250 miles to go. Let's get started. Well, we made it. Don't you love that clean mountain air? Breathe it in, savor it. Do you have anything you want me to relay to Marko? Nice. Is that an old pre-war Remington? If you're going to get killed by something, that would be a good choice. Take care, courier.
What is the meaning of this? You have no right to detain us.
Cowards! Every one of you is a fucking...
Oh, how the mighty have fallen. You honestly can't be surprised that it's me, can you? Virgil is my favorite alias, given the literary roots. Your expression right now. Forgive the cliché, but it truly is priceless. If Brookshire had only known what this was worth to me. That's right. Brookshire wasn't inclined to consider the fate of the townspeople, much less you, when weighed against the supply of silver. I'm not sure what your political leanings are, but if you consider yourself a patriot of the NCR, that must really, really sting. In this moment of unforeseen, inconceivable reversal, you must be thinking, how did this happen? It boils down to one simple characteristic, resolve. When you killed Sergio, I resolved to make you suffer to your last breath. Maybe you're thinking of ways to break from your bonds, disarm me, kill the guards, save the day. Not this time. Whatever happens next, you're going to be utterly powerless to stop me. Doesn't that just burn you up? If you didn't have that gag, I can only imagine what you might be saying. Well, I'm a cautious fellow, so I want to be safe. I can't risk any interruptions during my theatrics. Nothing is worse than a disruptive audience. Right through the hands. That does look painful. You won't be opening any jars again, much less handling a weapon. Even with the pain, I wonder if you're consumed by rage or dread. Neither benefits you, but dread suggests an honesty that I have to admire. Were you expecting a fair fight? A climactic showdown in the street? Sergio tried it that way, didn't he? My brother had heart, I'll give him that. I've never had a mind for fair fights, though I've won my share. I prefer domination, and most importantly, survival. That's all that matters. You want to speak, don't you? No doubt you have a pithy retort or some eloquent overture prepared that would convince me to throw down my arms. Not tonight. This time you'll be silent, like a dog following its owner. When this is over, you will acknowledge me as your master. You're going to beg for death. You'll pray to God for it to end, but he won't listen. Only when you pray to me will you gain release. But that can wait. Right now, I'm an official agent of the New California Republic, warden of their new outpost in Frostville. In my administration, law and order will be upheld without exception. Why not get off to a strong start here and now?
Please don't do this.
By the powers invested in me by the New California Republic, I hereby authorize these agents of the justice system to collect unlawful bounties. So it was done, all according to the law. Randall, you came so far only to taste the bitterness of defeat again. Deep down, you knew it would end this way. Ford, you were quite eager to betray Mr. Randall. Why don't you do the honors? I'm resigned to the fact that I'll have to do everything myself.
You son of a bitch!
Now, what are we going to do with you? I could put a round in your head, make it quick, clean. Then again, that's been tried. I don't fear failure so much as being unoriginal. No, I've got something better in mind. You ever hear of stories of drunks being buried alive? Since you're not in a position to speak, I'll take your indignant squinting as a yes, so I'll continue. When a man is buried alive in, say, a coffin, he might have 30 minutes or so to live. Trust me, I know. I've seen it firsthand. It's one heck of an interrogation technique, acting like you're burying them. I leave them down there for a bit, then pull them up. They always come up gasping. A few even lose their minds in that short span. I guess it's the darkness and the noise. Imagine, your breathing is strained, dust fills your mouth and eyes, and you hear the weight of earth shifting above you. It's inexorable death. That's why I saved you for last. I want you to feel that terror as you dwell on what transpired here tonight, how you were beaten. No matter how hard you are, the terror will take you eventually. In that moment, when you're wishing for it all to end, just remember, I was the one man who beat you. And that's what people will remember, what they'll say for years to come. It isn't just your body that I'm burying tonight. It's your legend.
Hey, boss, you sure you don't want me to shoot him first?
No, I want the courier to suffer to the last. You hear that, friend? Of course you can, even with that hood on. Is the coffin comfy? Just so you know, I'm putting you in an unmarked grave in the middle of nowhere. From a legal standpoint, you will have simply vanished. You're going to be just another anonymous stiff. You afraid now? Just let it wash over you. Don't fight it. You're so close to the end. I wonder how you might have molded the Mojave if you'd lived. I'm sure people will speculate to no end. They'll forget you, though. They always do. At this moment of acute reflection, I wonder if you appreciate the futility of your efforts. Your mentor is dead. Really dead. I'll face no legal or governmental consequences. Quite the contrary. I'll become a respected citizen, leading this town while the worms gnaw on your rotting corpse. You remember that when the air thins out. If you could do it all over again, would you even come here? So much to ponder in the darkness. Rest easy. Close it up, boys. How in the... I should have known. I deliberately provided simple instructions, yet people can't manage if I'm not supervising. I do hate leadership at times. There's no way you can be healed up. Why even come here? You can't win this fight. You're broken and alone. You lost. You could have walked out of this canyon and I'd never have given you a second thought. Apparently, I'm just not good at vengeance. You killed my brother, so I maimed and humiliated you, then slaughtered a town and forced you to watch. That's more or less even, right? I know you're anxious to spew some venomous diatribe, but permit me a moment. Let's say that a miracle occurs and you killed me. You'll limp back to the Mojave with a broken body, your myth shattered. People will only remember your feelings. They're just lousy that way. They won't talk about how you killed me. They'll mock you for getting captured and allowing the town to get butchered. You had a good thing in the Mojave. You should have stayed there. Quite a stage we have here, huh? Audience of dead men. Go ahead, tell me how I'm destined for the infernal reaches or all manner of mutilation. I'm sure it will be very bold and original. Scared? No, not in the least. I'm gravely disappointed. You had to get involved with every little thing, didn't you? Before you killed my brother, I had a good thing going here. I had real peace for the first time in my life, and you took it from me. I'll get it back with the NCR, but it's going to be a while before the fire goes out inside. That's why I hate you. You remind me of what I am. I'd kill you 1,000 times if I could, just to see that look. The moment when you realize that you're no better than me. Even if you survive, you'll carry the curse. You'll never have a normal life. People will always see the blood on your hands before anything else. So no, I'm not scared. I pity you. I only regret that I didn't personally see to your demise. To bind, prod, whip, skewer, and slice you until all that remained was twitching flesh. I regret the passing benevolence which tainted my judgment, made me doubt my own nature, my strength. It was an infection of weakness. I wish I could have scourged your friends in front of your eyes, then let you listen to their screams after I'd blinded you. Do you know what I feel when I think of the townspeople, Randall or his family? Nothing. They were no more than insects, mere parasites. This world is hate, and I am its greatest pupil. Bring your courage, your righteousness. Measure it against my resolve, and you will fail. So the toad says to the wolf, death is a comfort to me, nothing to be dreaded. Even if I fall, I am happy, no, overjoyed, at your suffering. You'll never live this down, never. If I die, you'll still be remembered as a failure, tainted forever. I can die happy knowing that. Ford was a parasite, the lowest form of man, unable to stand on his own, forge his own path. He could only leech off the energy of others. At least Randall had purpose and guts. Once the hunters were paid and gone, I was going to personally cut Ford's throat, so thanks. As for being alone, that's how it's always been. Anyone who's honest knows that's what life is. It's a slow, lonely stroll through hell. Only person I ever cared about was my brother, and you took it upon yourself to snuff him out for a greasy wad of caps. This is how it should be. I'm ready, courier. Oh, how sentimental of you, using Randall's old piece. I knew I shouldn't have buried that stuff with you. Very careless. You know, I've also got a revolver that I've used over the years. I call it Old Scratch. Not sure exactly what inspired the name, it just stuck. I'm normally not keen on religion, but sometimes I think this old Roscoe has a hunger for souls. Crazy, right? So it's your Remington versus Old Scratch. Sounds like a pre-war monster movie. Wouldn't it be ironic if that's all that people remembered? Pardon me, I'm normally not so glib in these moments, but the tension is just invigorating. It's time.